up in a vehicle and pointed a gun at two men and demanded their money. The victims are an unnamed man and a juvenile. The police say that the gun that was used in the robbery, however, was not a real firearm. It was a replica gun, looking very realistic. The police say two suspects are in custody. One is 16-year-old and the other an adult, both charged with armed robbery. The EPB credit union was robbed on McCauley, and the police say that no suspects have been arrested yet and nobody was hurt. The FBI is assisting in the investigation. The Sheriff's Department in Grundy County says they have a suspect after items were taken from a cemetery in Grundy County. A 37-year-old Misty Melton Jackson is wanted in connection with these thefts. Deputies tried to arrest her earlier, but she escaped on an ATV. New jobs for the Scenic City Aerotech, looking to fill over 200 positions at the Chattanooga Volkswagen production facility. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect partly cloudy and warm weather out there through your afternoon. Could see a spotty shower or thunder shower pop up, but not many. Highs 83 to 85 tonight. Becoming fair, lows near 62 for Thursday and Friday. Not much change, mainly dry and warm. Highs 85 to 87. Personalized medical care for you and your family close to home. Hamilton Physician Group Primary Care in Calhoun is open at 407 2nd Avenue. For more, 706-529-9041. And I'm Machine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Good morning, Chattanooga. This is Jim McCoon, and welcome to the next edition of Legal Bytes. This is your weekly radio show discussing legal issues, concepts that can affect you both in your personal life, your estate planning, and in your business interests. And today I am particularly pleased and privileged to have as a host Carl Heineman. Hello, Carl. How are you?
Just fine, Jim. Thank you.
Now, for those listeners out there, and I'm sure a lot of people know who you are, Carl, but for those who don't, Carl is a local accountant, CPA here in town. You've got Hyman Associates. Now, where's your business located, Carl?
We're located at 2115 Stein Drive, which is across from the main post office on Shallowford Road.
Okay, that's out there near all the car dealerships and like, isn't it?
And medical facilities, too. Car dealerships and medical facilities.
All right. And Carl, as I understand it, you're a local boy. You went to McCauley, I believe.
That's correct.
Okay. And then Vanderbilt. So you've got a lot of the higher education around from my standpoint, Vanderbilt and McCauley. You've
Somebody paid tuition on my behalf. Let's put it that way.
Now, Carl, as far as your practice goes, how long have you been practicing as an accountant here in Chattanooga?
I've been practicing since 1981.
Wow. Okay. So I guess you've seen all the changes that have gone through, because there have been a lot of them since then.
The first major one was that Tax Reform Act of 86.
Right. That was major. I remember. Now, from what I understand, Carl, you don't just do tax preparation, although tax preparation is a lot of y'all's business. You also do business valuations, as I understand it.
Yes.
You get involved on the other side from the buyer standpoint and doing due diligence for the potential buyer looking at an acquisition. I think you've also gotten involved in helping in litigation and doing what they call forensic accounting, where you actually go in and find where the balls have been hidden and run through all the documents and like for the attorneys. And
calculating economic damages is another area.
Right. And then I think you also get to a large part of your business is general business advice for your clientele, where they need advice on basically how to make adjustments in their business to get the best financial and tax ramifications. Is that true?
That is correct.
And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, is because I know all of us have seen where President Trump has now unleashed his tax proposal, where he's trying to follow through with a lot of his promises to the voters. And it seems to me that some of those tax proposals will have an effect on businesses and the type of entities that they are. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, because under his proposal, business income will be taxed at a much more favorable rate of 15%, which is substantially below the top individual rate, which is around 39% now. So it behooves taxpayers to take out or convert in some way to business income, which would be taxed at 15%. For instance, an S corporation owner takes out a mix of salary and distributions.
All right. Well, before we get that,
Okay.
let's explain to the listeners an S corporation. Now, we all know a C corporation is a traditional corporation where we've got shareholders and the company has its own financial issues and it's taxed. And then the shareholders, if they get dividends and the like, they get taxed for those, what they receive or any income. Now, S corporation, how is that different?
S corporation is a pass-through entity. It's a legal entity whereby the profits are distributed to the owners and taxed at the individual level.
Now, under the old tax situation we had before this proposal, it behooved a lot of business owners to be an S corporation because that way things weren't taxed twice. Everything was passed through. And let me hold that thought a second. It looks like we've got a call. Let me see if I can get it here. Yes, this is Legal Bytes. Caller, do you have a question for Mr. Heineman?
Yes, Tim. Been listening to your show for some time, and I wanted to ask your co-host there, Carl, a question about the advantages. I've got a business of my own, and I'm in the lawn care business. And I've got a question about the distinction between an LLC and an S corp. Right now, I'm a sole proprietorship, but I want to know under the new proposals that the tax code has under President Trump, what advantage would there be for me to either try to incorporate as an S corporation or to have an LLC?
All right, just I think some of your call got cut off. So basically, you've got a lawn care business, and your question
Right.
is under these proposals, if they become law, what type of entity should you set up to best take advantage of the law?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Okay. All right, Carl?
Well, I would recommend an LLC.
And why would that be, Carl, for this guy?
Because that is business income, and it would be subject to 15%, I believe, as the proposals go.
So even though it's a pass through to the individual, it'll still get taxed. Everything he takes down through the LLC will be taken at 15%, as opposed to at the individual's regular tax rate, which may be 24, 28%.
Right, because that is business income. You own a business.
Okay, so just in terms of what I should do, the LLC, I guess I need to hire counsel, hire an attorney to draft up the LLC documents for me.
I would strongly recommend that. Would this be a
All right.
Tennessee LLC?
It's a Tennessee business, yeah.
Okay. Yes.
All right.
So that's going to save me, what you say, about almost 9-10%?
Well, as opposed to how you might be doing it now. But I think another thing, being an LLC, anytime you're in business for yourself, there's a possibility of being sued for something, whether justified or not. And with the LLC, you've got some legal insulation around you. If you operate your lawn care service as an LLC and you've got the logo, on your truck, so on and so forth.
Sure. And caller, what he's basically recommending to you is that there's a lot of benefits besides just the tax benefits to having some type of entity. And here with it being an LLC, what you'll get is you'll get your personal assets and yourself protected. If you're doing business and doing work orders or contracts with a lot of your customers, do them all in the name of the LLC, have them write their checks to the LLC. And that way, if you ever cause any lawn damage or the like, or landscaping issues, then they couldn't come after you personally necessarily. They'd be, cause they did business with LLC. That's the argument.
And I think there's an intangible benefit too. and that's public perception of, being John Doe Lawn Service or John Doe LLC. You look more substantial and established.
So
Okay,
there's
well,
a marketing
thank you, Carl. I
side to it.
appreciate you taking my call. Thank you, Jim.
All right. Thank you, caller. All right, Carl. So that's one aspect of what Trump's doing, is he's going to basically tax all business income at 15%. And we're discussing the S corporation, and the S corporation in that situation, the pass through. So would all that income of the S corporation, would it be taxed to the shareholder at 15%?
Yes, and let's say you have and there are a lot of single owner S corporations, and they decide on a mix between, salary and distributions, and probably they would be incentivized to drop back on salary and take more in distributions of profits under the proposed rules.
Right. So, and in fact, rather than be a W-2 employee, you might be better off if you're not employed by the company and just take all your income as dividend.
Well, that's what some pundits are saying, is that if this goes through, then high-paid executives or employees of corporations might go to the corporation and say, look, I still want to work for you, but I don't want to be a W-2 employee. Just make me an independent contractor and give me a 1099 at the end of the year, and then that would probably get the 15% treatment. Or they become a free agent. They just form their own LLC, and the company pays the LLC for their personal services, and that probably would come under the 15%.
Okay. So then what's basically going to happen is there'll be a different way of thinking in the business realm, especially for small businesses, is how they want to structure income or under an LLC, guaranteed payments versus distributions of profits.
That's true. Now, the S corporation owner that was, taking out a lot of salary and very little distribution, if he changes the mix, then how will that affect his Social Security earnings and his ultimate Social Security benefit when he retires? So that's a factor.
All right, we'll get back to that. Let's get this next call here. Hold on one second, Carl. Yes, caller. You're on Legal Bytes. Do you have a question?
I do. So I'm a sole proprietor. Why should I incorporate or change my business form?
Carl, first, is it just from a financial tax standpoint or for any reason? I mean, I guess there are reasons from liability and personal exposure points that we talked about earlier.
Yeah. Can you tell us the nature of your business, please?
Yes, it is a small gift shop.
Okay. So, you're a retailer, and people come into your store, and, worst case scenario, somebody slips and falls, and they injure themselves and they sue you. And if you were an LLC, they could not sue you personally. They could sue you. They would have to sue the LLC. Now, you probably have general liability insurance, and you're assuming that the insurance company is not going to nitpick the claim, that they're going to pay the claim. That would be, my concern if I were in your place. We always want to assume that our insurance carrier is going to pay the claim, but there's a staff person called an insurance adjuster that, he examines every claim and see if it has merit and it should be paid. So that's
But from a tax standpoint, under President Trump's proposal, is there a reason for the sole proprietor to change her entity?
The sole proprietor's income would be 15%. And as an LLC owner, you would also be 15%. Where it comes in more is in C Corps and S Corps.
Okay. Of course, from her standpoint, I don't know how much inventory and the like she's carrying, but I guess from the F&E standpoint, if she became an entity, she could all of a sudden have F&E exposure, whereas as an individual, she might be able to avoid that and just buy a boatload of insurance instead of paying F&E tax.
Well, if the LLC is structured so that she pays self-employment tax, then she would not be subject to Tennessee excise tax, but she would pay franchise tax. But the excise tax is the one that generally bites you more because it's based on income.
Right, right. So I guess my advice, caller, is perhaps you should sit down with your accountant or call Mr. Heineman and make an appointment. He can go over with you whether or not it would be in your best interest financially to alter your entity or the way in which you're taking funds out of your entity. And if a decision's made, then contact your counsel and set up the appropriate entity, whether it's an LLC or whether it's a corporation, to try to get some limited exposure for your personal assets.
All right, great. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, caller. All right, Carl, let's see. We've bounced around now. We've gone into different types of entities and reasons other than the taxes. But I guess getting back to the president's proposal, how would that affect, for example, a straight C corporation? Because I know there are a lot of small businessmen around here who have set up straight Cs, which is just a regular standard corporation, early on, primarily because they were after the protections of their personal assets and the like. How will what President Trump has now proposed affect them, and what should they consider doing if this becomes law?
From what I read, that the 15% on business income would extend to C corporations. Also, how this ultimately becomes law in Congress is anybody's guess, but what Trump is trying to do is all business income would be taxed at no more than 15%. And, there'll be probably some compromise and it may bounce around and end up at 18 or maybe 20%, but that's still less than the top individual rate of 39%. You would still be, incentivized in certain situations.
All right. So if that's the case, then I guess for a C corp, a small businessman, his best, if he doesn't want to change the form of his business, and there could be a lot of other ramifications there because of basis and his assets and the like, if he didn't want to change anything, then his best strategy at that point would be simply to reduce wages or income or earnings and try to move as much as he can over into the dividends and distributions out of the company.
Profits. The C corporation, when you file the C corporation return, my understanding would be that on the corporate return, the income rate, tax rate would be 15% on what's left in the corporation. Sometimes I hear the downside of a C corporation is double taxation. And what is double taxation with a C corporation? Well, if a C corporation pays cash dividends, then it's taxed twice. It's taxed once, those earnings to the corporation, and then when they're distributed to shareholders as cash dividends, they're taxed again on the 1040. However, if you have a small C corporation, you don't have to declare and pay cash dividends. A lot of companies don't. Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway, for instance, have never paid a cash dividend, and none of their shareholders are complaining because one share of stock right now is about $250,000.
So you just keep the value in the business.
Yes.
All right. So, but again, for the small mom and pop corporation that's out there working every day trying to earn a living, is there any advice to them if this proposal should go through on what they should do to alter to best take advantage of President Trump's proposal?
tried to characterize earnings as business income. And as I understand it, business income is what he's trying to level to 15%.
Okay. So effectively, but all that will do is that will protect the company's tax liability. There's no way to protect the individuals who are going to be taxed as the shareholders and employees of that C Corp.
The employees who still get a W-2 would be taxed at the same rate schedule unless it's lowered as a part of this tax bill.
Okay.
And it may well be because there would be such a disparity between the individual rates and the corporate rates. People would figure out every way in the world to game the system.
Okay. Understood. So let's talk about then. We've got several entities that are passed through as opposed to the C corporation where everything's held and taxed at the corporate level. On the pass-throughs, we've got the S corporations we talked about a minute ago, and then we've got limited liability companies, or LLCs, as we affectionately refer to them. Now, in those situations, your best advice to them, if this comes into effect, is what?
I think with the S corporation, the LLC income would be business income, but with the S corporation, let's say there's an owner and he has taken out W-2 salary and left some profits in. That's the one that would be incentivized to scale back the W-2 and take out more in distributions.
Okay. So if you've got the S, then you want to do that. Now, from the LLC standpoint, do you want to affect your guaranteed income versus or guaranteed earnings versus your distributions that are made of profit? Do you want to affect any of the way you characterize what's coming out of the LLC?
Business income. You want to try to characterize everything as business income,
whether or not it's a guaranteed payment or just a pure distribution of profit.
Now, that's a good question. How will guaranteed payments be treated under this tax legislation? I haven't read anything on it, and I really believe that's to be decided.
Okay, because guaranteed payments are so much more like a salary for the
That's
members.
True. That will be argued in the halls of Congress for sure.
Yeah, that's part of what we'll have to figure out as compromise. And let's talk about that. I know you've been keeping up with it. When do they expect, if President Trump's proposal goes through, when do they expect that to happen?
My instincts tell me that they will argue it in 2017 and it will become law in early 18. We know Congress recesses one whole month, August, so nothing will get done in August. And then between Thanksgiving and Christmas, not much gets done. So there's just several windows of opportunity to get some serious movement on it. This is so significant. I have my doubts that it will be inked in 2017.
And even what does get inked.
But if it gets, let's say it's 2018, January or February, of course, it could be retroactive to 2017 returns.
Sure. And what finally gets inked, as we put it, will actually probably have a lot of compromise in it as well. So
no doubt.
The proposal we see today will not be the bill that is actually signed into law.
That is correct.
So, all right. Well, from the standpoint of the other pass-throughs, what else do we have to consider? We've got general partnerships, and we've got the LLCs, and we've got the S corps. All those, and then I guess we have limited partnerships as well, which provide some protections.
Well, I think it's worthy of discussing the S corp versus being an LLC, the pros and cons. The S corp is more restrictive in who can be a shareholder and how many shareholders you can have. You can't have more than 100 shareholders. You can't have any foreign shareholders. Certain entities can't be a shareholder. The LLC, I think the biggest advantage is it has more flexibility. And the one-class stock restrictions of S corporations do not apply.
For us, Carl, we're to the break. This is Legal Bytes. Jim McCoon and our guest today is Carl Heineman, and we'll be back with you on the other side to continue this discussion. And right now, the issue is whether we should go S corporation or LLC under tax laws. Talk to you soon.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news. Now.
On Signal Mountain, the police say that two men pulled up in a vehicle and pointed a gun at two men and demanded their money. The victims are an unnamed man and a juvenile. The police say that the gun that was used in the robbery, however, was not a real firearm. It was a replica gun, looking very realistic. The police say two suspects are in custody. One is 16-year-old and the other an adult, both charged with armed robbery. The EPB credit union was robbed on McCauley, and the police say that no suspects have been arrested yet and nobody was hurt. The FBI is assisting in the investigation. The Sheriff's Department in Grundy County says they have a suspect after items were taken from a cemetery in Grundy County. A 37-year-old Misty Melton Jackson is wanted in connection with these thefts. Deputies tried to arrest her earlier, but she escaped on an ATV. New jobs for the Scenic City Aerotech, looking to fill over 200 positions at the Chattanooga Volkswagen production facility. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News. Now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect partly cloudy and warm weather out there through your afternoon. Could see a spotty shower or thunder shower pop up, but not many. Highs 83 to 85 tonight. Becoming fair, lows near 62 for Thursday and Friday. Not much change, mainly dry and warm. Highs 85 to 87. Personalized medical care for you and your family, close to home. Hamilton Physician Group Primary Care in Calhoun is open at 407 2nd Avenue. For more, 706-529-9041. And I'm Machine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
McCoon, Williams & Ashley PLLC offers a full array of legal services to meet the needs of businesses and individuals. Our attorneys represent diverse backgrounds, interests, and legal emphasis, but we share one common goal: providing the highest quality legal services to our clients through the combination of our talents, experience, and expertise. In each case, we strive to tailor those services to meet each client's specific circumstances. Business law, business organization, civil litigation, commercial litigation, conservatorship and guardian law, bankruptcy law, just to name a few. With over 188 years of combined experience, McCoon, Williams, Ashley PLLC is here to help you and your business succeed. MWALawfirm.com. That's MWALawfirm.com. Call 423-756-6400. That's 423-756-6400.
Picture that curl of steam rising from your fresh-made pizza. And in a flash, let it take you aloft, teasing all your senses. I'm talking about Jet's Pizza. If you eat out at Jet's in Hickson or take home your steaming deep dish square pizza, you'll love Jet's. They use only the best ingredients in a family recipe. Also try the cheesy bread, wings, chicken, or bread with bacon, antipasta, or Greek salad. Jet's Pizza at Buy Low near the S curves. Open till 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. You can order online or have it delivered. jetspizza.com. That's jetspizza.com. Or call them now. They'll have it ready when you get there. 757-1616. That's 757-1616.
Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jets.
Need a tiller to get things going for the spring? Spiff up your porch, maybe your deck? Come on by and get a pressure washer at Action Rental. Family in town, need some tables and chairs for an event? Come on by and see us. Action Rental. This is Dan at Action Rental on Lee Highway. Come by and see me. Action Rentals.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree? Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio. The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Hello, Chattanooga. You're back to Legal Bytes. This is Jim McCoon, your host, and our guest today is Carl Heineman, a local CPA who has practiced here since 1981. I was shocked to find out, Carl, you've got such experience here in town. And I know that a lot of people have had questions. We've already had a couple of callers today about how these things will affect their lives with respect to President Trump's proposal. If you'd like to ask Carl a question on the air, our number is 423-800-8949. That's 423-800-8949. And Carl, if someone wanted to talk to you privately or set up a time to come in and meet with you perhaps on their issues, what's the number for your office?
Our office is area code 423-894-3577.
Okay. And do you have a website where people can reach you if they want to send you an email?
We do have a website, HeinemanCPAs.com, and the email is carl@HeinemanCPAs.com.
Okay. So they can reach you either way. And of course, they can call you here while we're on the air. We've already had a couple of callers or questions that I thought were very cogent. Now, we've talked about the fact that there are different types of entities. And Carl, I guess, have you ever determined exactly how we compare? I mean, like, how many corporations do we have versus how many partnerships? And is that changing today? And, are people making different decisions? Hold on one second. And we've got a call, Carl. Yes, this is Legal Bytes. Caller, do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question about the alternative minimum tax and what Trump's proposed tax laws will have on that. What effect, if any?
I have not read anything yet on how it will affect the AMT. It probably will, but they just haven't gotten that far into the bill yet, or maybe haven't thought about it, but it needs to be thought about.
Carl, I guess for the listeners that are out there besides our caller, what is the alternative minimum tax?
The AMT is a stealth tax, and you pay that.
We've lost our caller. All right, go ahead. You were telling us the AMT is
an alternative to the regular tax, and so you pay one or the other depending on which is the highest.
Okay, so basically you do your taxes, take your deductions, figure it all out, and if it's lower than the alternative minimum tax, then you pay the AMT.
If the AMT is higher, you'll pay it.
Okay. Well, that is an interesting question, because if President Trump really wanted to take care of us, he'd be addressing that already on the front end, wouldn't he?
Well, I think it will be addressed as a part of this bill, but it seems that the thrust of all this talk about a bill is rate percentages and who pays which percentage. That has been 90% of the buzz.
And of course, the biggest buzz, as you put it, was the effect on business and business income, because there's a big push right now to try to incentivize the economy by reducing the taxes on business income, allowing businesses to expand and hire more people.
Right. And, if U.S. source income is taxed at 15%, then this business won't be incentivized to go overseas and open a subsidiary overseas. And I think a part of this bill is probably, if we go to 15% for business income, is there some kind of a tax holiday where all these billions of dollars are overseas and the corporations are not going to bring it back because it would be taxed higher at the U.S. rates, will there be some kind of a maybe one-time holiday that they can bring the cash back and it be taxed at 15%? That would be a huge boon to the economy if that were to be a part of the bill.
Agreed. Basically, give them one entry fee. Let them come in.
Yep. Amnesty for a month or 2 or 6 months to bring all of the overseas cash back, and it would be not subject to more than 15%.
Okay. Now, my question before our last call was, how do we handle, or have we determined, has there been a change in the ratios of partnerships versus corporations versus S corporations and the like? And have they been driven by what we have seen in the past from the taxation of the income derived from those entities?
Well, yes, there has been a shift in the last 20 years. C corporations, there are 10% fewer C corporations than there were, say, 20 or 30 years ago. And the S corps have flourished the most. They've gone up like 25%. So right now, if you take the whole pie 100%, sole proprietorships make up still about 70% of U.S. businesses. Partnerships 8.4. C corporations are down to single digits now, 8.1%.
Wow.
And S corporations are 13.6%. C corporations are regular corporations. All publicly traded corporations are C corps. And when you look at how many public C corporations we had in the year 2000 versus now, we have about a half the number of publicly traded corporations.
Now, the LLCs, are they within the partnership number? Is that the way they kept up? So basically the LLCs are in the 8.4% right now of entities?
They may well be. Most of them are taxed as partnerships.
Yeah, right, exactly. So now we were talking about the shifts and the different types of entities. So we've covered the C Corp and we've talked about the S Corp. From the partnership standpoint, just a pure partnership, general partnership, will President Trump's proposal have effect on those types of entities out there in the public?
If a general partnership is organized, a business is organized as a general partnership, then that income would be reported on the 1040s on a K-1. And that's business income, so I would think it would be 15%.
Okay, so the partnership is a pass-through. It'll just have a reporting obligation, but the K-1s that show what each partner actually received will be taxed at 15% as opposed to any earnings that the partner may be getting from another entity or from that entity as an employee, a direct employee of some type, which will be taxed at an individual tax rate for income.
Well, in a general partnership, I don't believe you can be an employee and a partner at the same time. So if you're an owner, you're a partner, and so your income would be reported on a K-1, which would end up on your 1040.
Okay. Now, from the standpoint of the sole proprietorships, we discussed the fact that they should treat or try to establish that all the income coming out of their business, because it's themselves, the sole proprietorship, be characterized as business income. And the only way really that would change is if part of their income, I guess, would be passive, where it's investment income. That would be characterized as on a gains basis as opposed to as income, wouldn't it?
That would not be earnings.
Right.
That is correct.
Okay. So from the standpoint of your clientele or anyone that came into you today, and in light of what we expect to come into play from President Trump, how would you advise them on considering the best entities?
The way you look at it when you approach entity choice is, how do you think you will make the money, and will you retain the earnings or distribute the earnings? Those would be the first two questions I would ask.
Okay.
So it's not one size fits all. It's on a case by case basis.
Okay. So when you say retainers, we're talking about trying to keep the funds inside the company and
that is
build the
correct.
wealth of the company.
Yes.
Now, if you're going to do that, then a C corp is going to have taxation of that money at 15%.
If it's business income, yes.
And you could keep the wealth inside the LLC. Oh, we have another call. Hold on one second. Yes, welcome to Legal Bytes. Caller, do you have a question?
Yeah, I've got smart lawyers on, so I'm going to throw this out at you. I want to hear your comments, because the other day someone told me we need to abolish the 16th Amendment. That'll get rid of income taxes. And I said, no, it won't. Income is the Supreme Court ruled it is profit and gain on frivolous activity, and the Supreme Court ruled the 16th Amendment conferred no new taxing privileges, just clarified. And since the Supreme Court's never said that income is property, how does one know when they have profit or gain? Because under Title 26, I believe everything you do to make profit and gain in business is deductible. So how does the average citizen know, with the plethora of rules and regulations under 26, that they're obligated? I mean, to me, it seems very confusing. And I'll listen on the radio. Thank you.
All right, I believe this caller's called before. He's very much, and this caller raises interesting issues, but he's very much against the establishment of the government's abilities to affect and control our earnings and to tax the same. Carl, as you know, under the IRS regulations and the laws, we can deduct expenses that are incurred in generating income for the business.
That's correct. Any expenses incurred in the normal course of operating that business.
Right. So if you, and a lot of companies do this, I know professional corporations do this every year, is what they do is they end up incurring the expenses of operating the profession, paying the staff, paying for supplies, paying for all the expenses incurred. They pay salaries and distributions to the professionals. And the goal is at the end of the tax year, everything's expensed out so that there is no true income tax liability at the professional corporation level.
That is possible.
Right. And so that's one of the goals to try to reach. And so a lot of companies will try to expense what they can legitimately so that they can drive down any of the profit or income derived at the company level. And, you know, if you think that you can, under the law, be able to expense out everything you incur, caller, then if I understood your question, then go for it, because there are companies that are able to basically drive down their tax liability by distributing everything out either as income or distributions, and by expensing as much as they legitimately can. Fair statement?
That's true. And C corporations can make charitable contributions themselves and deducted from taxable income, subject to certain limitations. And if they are not profitable that year, they would have a charitable contribution carryover. But that's an example of, not an ordinary necessary business expense that could be deducted if you're a C corp and you're charitable.
Which has done a good bit in Chattanooga.
Yes.
We're a very charitable community, and eleemosynary intentions abound in this community, where we've seen a lot of the local businesses and even some of the larger out-of-state companies that have offices here have really gotten involved in making charitable commitments to organizations here in town.
That is correct. I see that in my business. And like I said, if you're not profitable in a certain year and you make a charitable contribution, it can carry over.
Okay. Now, one of the things that we've seen because of liabilities and the like is companies setting up to try to shield. And a lot of times what they'll do is they'll set up maybe an LLC or corporation where the shareholder is a trust. Do you think that will have any impact or that planning approach will have any impact based upon these tax changes?
I haven't read anything yet, but with respect to S corporations, there are ways in which trust can cause a loss of an S corporation status, like trusts owned by more than one individual. Foreign trust are a no-no. Charitable remainder trust is not an eligible shareholder. IRAs are not an eligible shareholder. Those are some examples.
Okay, so actually in the planning trying to maybe protect the individual investors from potential liability, they can actually cost the company's tax benefits.
That's a possibility if they get tripped up on one of those things I just mentioned.
Okay. Now you've told us, your initial upfront question with a client that comes in is, how do you expect to make the money, and do you want to retain the funds, or do you want to distribute them? Can you build the wealth of the company? Is that your intention, or do you need the income out of the company so you expect to distribute?
That's true. And then, there are a lot of family businesses in this town, and are there siblings working in the business? What's a succession plan? Just looking down the road at the get-go. It's important to get the right legal organization because it's hard to undo.
Right. And from that standpoint, what is the best way? And that's a good question, because I've got a client that's coming in to see me later next week to talk about business succession. And they've got some family members that are involved in the company, and they got others who aren't. But at Papa's death, even the ones that aren't want to inherit part of Papa's wealth. So do you have a concept that you go over with these individuals as maybe a good way to consider? Like one suggestion that you might use if father was younger would be key man. But, when they finally come in and want to talk to you about succession, father's not insurable. So.
And let me ask you this, Jim. What in that particular situation, the siblings that don't have any ownership
or don't have any involvement right now,
don't have any involvement in it right now, what about giving them preferred stock, non-voting?
Well, it would, except for the company's an LLC.
Oh, LLC. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, and right now the question is what do we do? Because we've got some children that are involved in working to grow the business, and some children that aren't, but certainly are objects of father's affection too. But if we give them shares in the company or memberships in the company, then you've got brothers and sisters that are working for the benefit of other brothers and sisters. And
that is correct.
Seems unfair.
It would be a contentious situation.
Yeah. So we're trying to figure out how can we best structure this so that, the people involved will take the company and the people who aren't involved will receive a fair value today for what their interest in father's estate would be. It's a really tough question. Succession is a really tough question.
It is. And what about just addressing that in the will that the son.
Hold on one second. Let's get this call. Yes, welcome to Legal Bytes. Caller, can we help you?
Yes, I have a question related to the show today.
Yes. Go ahead.
Can I still claim a home office with the proposed tax code changes?
I see no reason that it would change. I have not read anything, and I don't think that's something they would pick on. They are primarily focused on rates and who is eligible for what rate. That something like that may be added at the last minute, but I think the home office deduction is pretty safe.
Are there any advantages versus disadvantages to doing that, taking that deduction?
Well, if you depreciate your home, then when you sell the home, if it's your primary residence, it's totally excluded. But if you take 10% of your home and you depreciate 10% of your home for your home office, then there would be a day of reckoning when you sell the home. There may be a small gain as a result of taking that depreciation.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so Carl, now if that caller or others have more questions about that, they could reach you at the office. And again, that number for the listeners is
area code 423-894-3577.
Okay. Thank you so much, listeners. You had Carl Heineman with us today. Carl's a local certified public accountant. And Carl was talking today about potential changes in the tax laws. Please join us next week on Legal Bytes as we'll discuss additional issues that may affect your lives, both individually and in business. Thank you, Carl.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
McCune, Williams & Ashley PLLC offers a full array of legal services to meet the needs of businesses and individuals. Our attorneys represent diverse backgrounds, interests, and legal emphasis, but we share one common goal, providing the highest quality legal services to our clients through the combination of our talents, experience, and expertise. In each case, we strive to tailor those services to meet each client's specific circumstances. Business law, business organization, civil litigation, commercial litigation, conservatorship and guardian law, bankruptcy law, just to name a few. With over 188 years of combined experience, McCune, Williams, Ashley PLLC is here to help you and your business succeed. MWALawfirm.com. That's MWALawfirm.com. Call 423-756-6400. That's 423-756-6400.
I have the best steak selection in town. Name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
Window Depot of Chattanooga. They're locally owned and operated and been around since 2008, installing top-quality vinyl replacement windows. You get the best price and service in the area. Top-quality double pane, energy-efficient windows. They look great and save you money.
Oh, I love to save money.
You'll also save money on your heating and cooling costs. Call 894-0011. 894-0011. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. Sales and installation professionals. You'll get a fantastic job while helping to enhance the value, appearance, comfort, and efficiency of your most valuable asset, your home. Other window providers? No way. Window Depot Chattanooga's windows qualify for the TVA rebate. Sliding doors, gutters, soffits, fascia, garage doors, and other home improvements. If you want to save a ton, call 894-0011. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. Window Depot of Chattanooga. Sales and installation professionals.
Your marriage is over. You've been abandoned, betrayed. You're angry, shattered, and heartbroken. Don't go it alone. When you are facing divorce, you need an experienced advocate to help protect your rights in future. And you need it from a man with a sympathetic heart, but a hard nose. Attorney Clay Whitaker will fight for you in this most confusing and bitter time in your life. Clay Whitaker, 756-6400.
I have the best steak selection in town. Name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines.